We are live. This is Machen McDonald, Coach Machen, coming at you with the Productivity Pit Stop. This is where we take some time, talk to some people that can help you become more profitable, more productive during your time. And I know for a lot of people, one of the biggest challenges they have is starting the week and getting motivated coming off the weekend. So today we have Suzanne Taylor King. She's a coach, performance coach, life coach, business coach, and she gets to keep me accountable on a lot of stuff. So I wanted to share her with you all. She's got some great nuggets that she's going to drop on you to help you just get optimized, motivated, and generate what you want to generate. So, Suzanne, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. This will be fun.
Yeah, we're doing just a live. We'll see how long it goes. Might be 15 minutes, might be 45 minutes, who knows? But let's have some fun. So, share
Yeah.
with me some things that you do or that you have your clients do that get them kind of, peak state, ready to really rock and roll, activate their mojo.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorites is planning my week ahead of time, typically on Sunday night, maybe first thing Monday morning, depending on my schedule. But I really love sitting down, looking at my online schedule, checking out the home responsibilities, dog responsibilities, mom responsibilities, work responsibilities, and putting them all in the calendar, making sure everything's there. And then I block out any open time so that I doesn't get filled with those last minute, oh, I need you to do this, or somebody schedules a meeting last minute. Nothing throws me off more than if I'm in the flow of working and realize somebody just scheduled a session with me. So planning that out ahead of time is really key for
Yeah.
me to be the most productive.
I love that. I'm a big believer of planning the night before as well. I kind of have this
Mhm.
belief, who knows if it's real or not, but for me it works. And I believe that I kind of have this universal gunslinger out there that's integrating during my sleep, especially during the REM cycles, right? Of like, okay, you got this coming up, you got that. And it really allows to have kind of good download opportunities throughout the day of having answers and resources having percolated through the evening and bringing it into the day. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And you said another thing too, which I thought was great, is it's the whole life, right? It's mom, it's work,
Mhm.
it's spouse, it's all of that, because that's us, right? We can't just take a sliver of us for work and say, I can only plan that and not plan everything else. We've got to do it all. So I'm
Well,
glad.
I think that integration is really important. I don't believe in, work-life balance per se. Um, right now I'm on a fitness journey. I have a couple fitness goals for myself. So that extra time that I'm devoting to that fitness goal had to come from somewhere. And it's most certainly not going to come from my sleep time. It's most certainly not going to come from my family dinner, homework,
Right.
mom time. So where is it going to come from? And I think that's super important to realize that if you have a goal in one area, say it's better lead generation or better networking, you have to have a chunk of time for that. And where's that time going to come from? And getting really clear about what your mission, what your goals are. And I knew that this fitness goal for me was more important than doing a morning networking event or having more discovery calls. It was more important than that for me. So block it out on the calendar and hold yourself a little bit accountable to that.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, that's going to definitely pay dividends all the way across the board, right? If we feel good and energetic and we've got the energy,
Hmm.
we bring that to everything else that we do, right? What is it
Yeah.
they say? The way we do anything is the way we do everything.
Yes,
So
yes. It's about committing 100%, not 99%.
mhm,
So, if you're 99% committed to achieving your fitness goal, there's going to be a 1% day here and there where you're not going to live up to expectations.
right.
I believe by committing 100%, it doesn't leave margin for error. It's like that's my number one priority right
Mhm.
now, and it's going to get done because I'm 100% committed to it. Not that I'm not 100% committed to my coaching practice, and I'm committed to everything that I
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
So maybe that's how you don't end up with things on your calendar that really aren't a priority.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it for the coaching world that know Rich Litvin, right? He's got the
Hmm.
two circles, hell yes and hell no. And if it's not one of those, it's just hell. Right.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's
it's like,
so true. It's so true.
yeah, so we've got to make that commitment. Do you find this to be true, Suzanne, that I know at least for me, it's like when I commit 100% and kind of like, burn the boats, so to say, there's no retreat,
Hmm.
that things start to show up that otherwise wouldn't show up to help on that journey. Do you find that to be the case
Oh,
also?
every single time. Every single time. Committing to this new fitness goal of mine actually created momentum in my business
Mm,
over the last month that I had no idea. Now, is that coincidence? Or is that because I was showing up with more commitment to myself and more energy and more aliveness to my person? Is that why those things happened? I'm not sure, but I'd like to think that maybe it's a little law of attraction, maybe because I'm having more energy, that people could see that, feel that, and that led to some momentum in my speaking. I had a couple offers for speaking engagements, and they were last minute things. They were things that weren't, 5 months ahead of time, and they needed somebody, and they chose me. I'm like, wonder why. What what is it about now that that wasn't happening 6 months ago? Interesting.
mm. You started off by saying something that I think is really powerful, and I don't want to let it slip by. And you said committing to myself,
Yeah.
right? It's like I think that's so important. A lot of times,
Mm.
especially I find at least for like the women in my life, the women I coach, and so forth, that oftentimes they're much more nurturing, right? They're there to
Mhm.
take care of everybody else, and they kind of put themselves on the back burner with the story of, well, I'll take care of myself when there's time, and
Yeah.
there's never time, right? So
Yeah.
the fact that you're committing to yourself, it fills you up, and you can bring even more to everybody,
Oh,
to your
well,
clients.
I, my son is 12, and after about a month on the fitness and the eating, I always ate healthy, but tweaking it and really dialing it in, my son noticed, and he said, "What are you doing different?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "You're in a good mood all the time." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I wasn't in a good mood before." And he's like, "No, it just seems like you have more energy, like you're happier, like you're enjoying cooking
Mm,
again." And it
mm.
it was really kind of cool to have a 12-year-old notice that you're taking better care of yourself.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
And I'm asking my clients to do that. So if I'm asking my clients to sleep better, meditate, exercise, get out for a walk, don't buy lunch every day, pack food.
Mm,
Well, if I'm not doing it, how can I ask my clients to do that?
yeah,
And I think that integrity piece is so important to me that by committing to it for me makes clients more attracted to what I'm doing.
yeah, yeah. The congruency, the integrity, it's just good
Mhm.
leadership, right? A good
Yes,
leader is not going to ask anybody to do what they wouldn't do themselves.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So give us a what's what's a quick little hack or idea around healthy eating choices that you might want to share with somebody? People are on the
Um,
go. The story is, I don't have time
mm.
to, eat that healthy, right? That's sometimes a misnomer. So help us understand how to be more effective in that area.
Well, I would say what worked for me when I was in the corporate world was to commit to one meal a day being mostly plants and not too much. Like
Mm,
to watch the portions. And if I was eating out, which happened a lot, to only eat half of whatever they brought to me. And that simple tweak helped tremendously. Um, as far as meal prepping and, you know, the last year and a half, I've been home eating almost every single meal at home. I decide first thing in the morning or the night before, what am I eating tomorrow?
mhm.
So as soon as we get done this, it'll be my lunch break. I know exactly what is on the menu for lunch today. And if my husband or a friend calls and says, "Oh, you want a hoagie or you want this?" Nope, it's already planned.
Mhm.
So, kind of like planning my work and gym schedule, the food mentally is already prepared for
Yeah.
the day.
Plan your work your plan. And it also it gets the reticular activator in line, right? It's like the
Yes.
brain saying, "Oh, I'm going to eat this," and then it's looking for that to
Hmm.
eat rather than like something that comes like, "Nope, that's not what I had in my mind."
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you, Coach.
Okay.
Um, a lot of times when I go out to eat, I'll go out with the intention of, you know what, I'm just going to have like a healthy salad and this and this. And then I get there and I'm looking at the menu and it's like, wow, that burger looks really good,
Uh-huh.
you know? And so it's like the environment can have an effect, right? Sometimes the
Oh, yes.
environment can like squash our willpower.
Hmm.
Talk a little bit about, how do you maintain the willpower when the environment may be kind of pushing you back a little bit?
Well, I never realized when I first became a coach that I had the willpower of an ox, my dad used to call it. And I didn't realize that. And it was a negative thing when I was a child because it was my way or the highway when I was a kid. But as I got older, I realized that my willpower was simply deciding how it was going to be ahead of time.
Mhm.
So whether it was going to a party in college and planning ahead of time, I'm only going to have one beer. I'm going to hold it in my hand all night. I'm going to have one drink. And see, it always comes back, for me at least, it comes back to that planning and deciding ahead of time so that, shiny objects don't get your attention.
Mhm. I don't know about you, but I find a lot of people that I work with, that I coach, have strong willpower,
Hmm.
and that when something comes up, that kind of, it's almost like the willpower gets turned off or they go unconscious and
Hmm.
they're subject to whatever's going on. It's like they forgot that they made that agreement with themselves of,
Yes.
I'm going to only eat this much, or I'm going to eat this off the menu, and I'm not going to vary from that. And it's like they
Hmm.
get in it, they get caught up in with the people that they're with and the environment or whatever it is. And it's like, they're halfway into eating that burger and then they realize, oh, I was going to have a salad.
Yeah.
Right. So the willpower sometimes for a lot of people, it's they don't have the willpower of an ox. How do
Hmm.
you help them? Or
Well,
or can you build willpower?
you can build willpower. It's not something you're born with or without. You can cultivate. But like with any motivation, you have to believe that you're going to be successful. That's number one. And you have to have a goal in mind, for being successful. So if you make that end goal, whether it's, say it's lead generation. I have tons of clients that hate their lead generation time, even though, myself included, it's a necessary part of having your own business. There has to be some chunk of your schedule that's devoted to that. So how do you do it? Whether it's eating right or lead generation, it has to be in your schedule and you have to decide to do it. But
Mhm.
you also have to have the awareness, or maybe it's the emotional intelligence to realize when you're veering off track,
Mhm.
or when you're scrolling social media instead of doing your lead generation, or you're in the kitchen looking for cookies rather than making your salad.
Mhm.
You have to have the self-awareness. So I think that's really the first thing, building that self-awareness, self-command muscle,
Mhm.
helping my clients become a little bit more mindful about what they're doing. So that's slowing down, that's walking into the kitchen or walking into the gym or walking into work with a purpose in mind.
Mhm.
I'm going to do this first, this second, this third, and not veering from the plan.
Got it. So it's having the big goal of where we want to get to, and then having the purpose and the plan along the way. And then it's just a matter of making the commitment or the agreement and keeping
Mm.
that agreement, right? But sometimes we fall back or we miss keeping that agreement, right? We're at that
Yes.
choice point, Chips Ahoy's or salad.
Hmm.
Right? And so
Yeah.
in that choice point, speak a little bit to, how do you help people remember that choice point and what's really driving the choice point?
Well, I think one of the things is valuing your word. And most people value their word to other people so much more than they value their word to themselves. And so that's where self worth comes in, self esteem, self confidence, and that autonomy to say, I'm worth doing what I say I want to do for myself and for my business.
Hmm.
And I think that's the starting place for most of this work in productivity, better habits, improved business and life. You really have to decide that you're worth it first.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's huge. And that kind of goes to, we both have kind of jumped in the world of positive intelligence and positive
Hmm.
psychology. And, when we're totally awake, totally conscious, there's this collective wisdom that we have over our lifetime, right? And
Yeah.
that's where we can make these really powerful decisions. And then there's this part of us, all the different voices, right? The saboteurs or the gremlins. And sometimes they're making the choices for us, right? So
Hmm.
speak a little bit to being aware of which part of us is making that choice. What are
Well,
your
I
thoughts on that?
well, I think that's one of the hardest things to explain unless you've experienced it. So I would ask first to actually notice what the voice is. Notice what you're saying to yourself when you make the choice to be on TikTok instead of following up with your leads from yesterday. What's in your head? Are you looking to be entertained? Are you looking for a hit of dopamine instead of, oh, maybe you had too many no's and you're tired of being disappointed? Let me turn to TikTok to give me a little hit of the feel good, laughter, whatever you're looking for. So I think that's the first step, is
Mhm.
to notice what you're actually looking for. Most people who overeat, overdrink, or don't exercise aren't looking to be overweight and unhealthy. They're looking for satisfaction or comfort, or maybe they're lonely and food is company.
Mm-hmm.
to watch TV with. And I think it's really about discovering that first.
Mm-hmm. So just being aware of what's the feeling I'm having that I'm not wanting,
Hmm.
maybe kind of even giving it a name or just an awareness to it. And then, like, okay, what am I wanting in this moment?
Yeah.
What's really going to give me that feeling or help me with that
Yes.
feeling?
Yes. And for me, I'm an avoider. So I will avoid things that need to be done. It's amazing to me the excuses that will come up, the things that are more important. And I had to learn to ask myself, is that really more important
Mm,
right now? And recommit hundreds and hundreds of times
yeah.
to train my brain not to go in that avoider pattern or
Mm,
shiny object pattern.
yeah. And there's a lot of times where, somebody's out here and they're looking and they're like, gosh, you're running your own business, good, happy family, good physical shape. And they're like, well, it's easy for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I
You
get
know,
that a lot. Yes.
yeah. And
Yes.
and the reality, I mean, in everybody that I've ever met or ever interviewed that has accomplished some pretty cool stuff,
Hmm.
it was a lot of work. It wasn't
Yes.
necessarily easy. So how do you help people that, are just up against it and don't think that they can get the momentum to get into action to really get to the other side of what they're wanting? What do you tell them?
I mean, this is so hard because if somebody thinks it's easy for me, I think it's my job as their coach, or even if you're just one of my followers. I am so transparent that it's been 12 years I've been in business, and I've been planting seeds of my coaching for 12 years. And only within the last 2 years have I made more than $50,000 a year and received referrals. It's gotten easier. So that's 10 years in a profession of networking, posting online, pivots in my business, additional education. Does that sound easy to you? No, it was not easy. It's still not easy, but I wouldn't go back to collecting a paycheck from someone else for anything.
Yeah.
It's so gratifying to work for yourself if you have that personality, but it's definitely not easy.
Right.
You
Simple,
have to
not
be
easy.
able simple, not easy. As long as you have the steps, it's simple. But there's a lot of self-discipline, and there's a lot of being resilient, bouncing back from, well, I screwed that up. Let's try something different.
Yeah. So
And
what?
yeah, yeah.
Wow, this is cool. You mentioned not wanting to go back to collecting a paycheck from
Hmm.
anybody else. I love the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody that will happily work 80 hours for themselves to avoid working 40 hours for somebody else, right?
Spot on.
So the balance comes into play, right?
Yes.
One of my favorite phrases is, there's no success in work or career that makes up for failure at home or failure with our
Mm,
health.
yes.
Speak a little bit to maintaining balance and what does balance really mean? Because it can mean different things to different people. What is it for you?
Well, for me, I love the idea of freedom. That was one of the main reasons I wanted and I loved entrepreneurship, because if I decided I wanted to go to the beach and go surfing tomorrow, I could do that. And when I worked for someone else, there was patients scheduled, there was things to do, there was a time I had to be there and a time I had to stay till. And I like the idea of last week, I had 50 hours of paid time with me. So whether it was clients, speaking gigs, 50 hours I worked last week. Well, this week, 25. I love that because there is a time when certain certain things happen that I have the opportunity to do in my business, and they all happen within 1 week. I mean, 3 big events in 1 week that I got paid to do. Well, there is none this week. So if I had said no to those last week, and I'd have nothing this week. So why not work a little more last week and work less this week? That's balance to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing I love, and this was way before COVID, was being here at home
Mm.
when my son gets home from school, when he leaves in the morning. And, it's an old school kind of family value for me because I grew up with a mom who was home all the time and made dinners and family dinners. And that was important, when my husband and I met and we talked about that, how I had that and he didn't, and
Mm.
he wanted that. And we created it because we both wanted it. So I think it's whatever is important to you is what balance looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'll look at my schedule today. It's over by 5 o'clock, but I have a break this afternoon to get dinner started, and then a baseball game tonight that I have the flexibility to go to. I love that.
Yeah. So freedom and flexibility, right? So it's
Hmm.
getting a clear picture of kind of what the hierarchy of values are that we have, and
Hmm.
to be able to honor those values gives us the feeling of balance, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like, even looking at like last week, if we just looked at last week, somebody might judge, well, that doesn't look like much balance, because you just work, 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 because you're
Hmm.
doing all the business building activity. But if we
Hmm.
could lift up a bit and look over several weeks or several months, we start to see what we would judge to be more balance, right? Because
Yes.
this week you got, a lot more
Yeah.
freedom, if you will, personal time.
Yes. And it's funny when I just heard you describe it that way. When I used to work with clients years ago as a nutrition and fitness coach, I never had someone plan out their meals down to the granular
Mm.
level. I had them look at weeks and months at a time. So if you look at a whole month, there's one time in that month you can go out and you can have a giant cheeseburger with bacon on it and french fries and a milkshake or a beer one time in 30 days. Can you do that? Maybe, maybe not. You can't do it once a week. If
Mm.
you do it once a week, it's going to take you 3 years to lose your weight. If you do it once a month, we can shorten that. So, how bad do you want your fitness and weight loss goals? And
Yeah.
I always framed it that way. If you're just on a journey to get healthy, like I am, like I'm on a journey to get healthy, weight loss is going to happen because of that. I want to be stronger, I want to be fitter. Well, if I cheat every week, it's going to take me a year to get there. If I go 3 months with no cheating, it's only going to take me 4 months to get there.
Hmm.
So that sounds much better to me. For some people, it wouldn't. So I think it's all about what works for you, whether it's health and wellness goals or business. You have to be willing to do it.
Yeah. If we can create that compelling enough vision,
Hmm.
create the vacuum that pulls us through, oh,
Yeah.
I really want that cheeseburger, that milkshake. It's like, nope, I can see myself looking this way, feeling this way.
Mhm.
and that's more important, and that helps drive the choices along the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that helps you stay prospective about the future, right? The root of that word, you know, pro means to look forward.
Hmm.
And so if you're going to be forward looking towards your goals, you have to allow that powerful future to pull you rather than the negative thoughts pull you kind of back the other way, or the regret looking back the other way. It's all about going forward.
Yeah, that's why the windshield's way bigger than the rear view mirror, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So, what else do you want to share with people to help them get motivated, stay motivated?
Well, I just did a challenge last week in my Facebook group, the Idea Lab for Entrepreneurs. And the challenge was really a client attraction challenge. And I go through 5 days of amazing content. It's not the traditional client attraction things, tactics,
Hmm.
so to speak. It is more the mindset of getting in that state of being that attracts people to you.
Hmm.
And I don't hold anything back. It's an amazing
And
5 days of,
style pull back.
no, it's not. No. Thanks for knowing me so well. Um, so yeah, that challenge is still there. It's going to remain there. Um, it's 5 days of video and homework assignments. And if anybody wants to go back to that and join that group and take that challenge, I'd love to support them.
Okay, and I think we've got a link for that. Here it is.
Awesome.
Right? If they go to Facebook groups, the group's name is Idea Lab for Entrepreneurs.
Correct.
Perfect. Yeah. So don't starve at the barbecue. Go hit that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff for sure.
Thank you.
Any parting last shots?
Accountability.
Mm.
I think if there's one thing that makes a difference is having people in your life that you tell your goals to, whether it's a coach or a business bestie or your partner. And I have different people in my life for different accountabilities.
Hmm.
And I think that's important. My workout buddy, my walking partner that we walk every day. Then I have my gym buddy that we lift with. And if I'm not there for a week, she's gonna notice. And I think business accountability partner, all of those things make me stick to what I've set out for myself.
Yeah. It's like you said earlier, we'll often do more to not let others down than we will to help ourselves up. Right. So
Yeah.
if that's just part of the wiring, use it. Right. And so find somebody that you're not going to want to let down or disappoint.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I think if you want to rewire your brain, you have to, you know, I think they say 60 positive actions to override a negative one. So you have to not disappoint yourself. You have to hold your own word to yourself
Yeah.
60 times before you start to trust yourself. And well, if I can build that muscle by giving my word to my workout partner, I tell everyone I know that I eat a meal with, this is what I'm doing with my food, and I'm doing it until this date because I'm working on my fitness and nutrition right
Mm.
now. I share it with everyone I talk to because that will hold me to it.
Yeah. It all lends itself to the self-efficacy, right? It's like
Yes.
each time we make an agreement with ourselves and we keep that agreement, we know, oh, I can count on myself to do what I say I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And if we start small and stack them up, it's like putting these little bricks in this big wall of success,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I love that. I love, keeping track of the wins every day. What did I do well today? That's part of my journaling
Yeah.
process. What went well? What what needed work yesterday? And by actually thinking about it, I can bring that spotlight of attention on, oh, in that interaction with my son about homework, I could have shown up a little bit nicer, kinder,
Mm-hmm.
firmer, whatever. And in my food yesterday, I could have drank a little bit more water yesterday. Sorry, my dog barked in the background.
No
Nothing like
worries. That's
live.
part of the balance. Perfect. All right. Well, we've got the Facebook group that you can all go to have some fun and build some more motivation in your world. Suzanne, I know we both have some coaching calls coming up here in a little bit that we got to run. Anything else that you want to make sure we all know?
No, I have a super exciting new checklist for everybody that should be live today or tomorrow on my website. And that is a checklist for your mental fitness. So, lots of the things we talked about today to help you dial in that mental fitness. And my assistant should have that live today or tomorrow.
Okay. So if we want some more goodness, we just go to Suzanne Taylor King, all one word.com, and look for that barking checklist.
Yeah,
Awesome.
doesn't even phase me anymore.
Right.
Got to roll with
It's
it.
all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, Suzanne, thanks so much for being on the Productivity Pit Stop. I hope everybody got some value and some gold that they can take out back into the track of success. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks so much.